Now you've heard the story, the talking donkey, Mr. Ed. This is almost a childlike story. This is stories that vacation Bible school teachers and Sunday school teachers like to tell because this will keep a child's attention. At least parts of it will. And so this is a child's tale. Daniel in the lion's den, Noah and the big fish. But this is a story of very deliberate, intentional literary design, and it has utmost theological depth and complexity to it. It is funny, and it is deadly serious. Stupid, stubborn human beings. You know any of them? I shave one every morning. Balaam and Balak. Contrast the faithfulness and the carefulness of the donkey with Balaam and Balak. The donkey is characteristically known as a stubborn animal. I grew up in an era where almost all of you probably have forgotten. I remember watching on the Mickey Mouse, no, not the Mickey Mouse. Yeah, the Mickey Mouse Club. The first made-for-TV miniseries called Spin and Marty. Okay, and if you remember that, you are a fossil. Okay, like me. And I learned as a city boy, even though I had country roots in my family, I learned that donkeys were stubborn. They were willful. Because there's a story in Spin and Marty where the donkey sits down and that donkey ain't moving. And so it's a great drama, you know. And so we've heard these stories. So it's the donkey that stereotypically, characteristically, we would call, they're dull, they're stupid, they're obstinate, but who in the story is anything but? Balaam is a spiritual super prophet. Now, we don't operate in this sort of thing, in this sort of world, at least not obviously to us. We consult diviners, people who can see into things. And I'm not talking necessarily sometimes in as simple as a tarot card reader. That's not what I'm talking about. That certainly would be included in that. But we have more sophisticated ways of tell me what my future is. We live in that world. And those people, if they have the least bit of success, they can command millions of dollars. Balaam is one of those. He is a super prophet. He is not a follower of the God of Israel. That's an important part in this story. And so, but interestingly in the story, Balaam is the spiritual donkey. Balaam is the one who, how many times does Balak say, I'll pay you well? I'll pay you well. I'll pay you well. It comes up several times in the story. That's one of the things that gets lost in the story. Balaam is a God teller for hire. A lot like a Presbyterian minister. Okay. And so Balaam is the dolt. The donkey is the hero. To be honest, we could stop right there. And if I don't say it yet, I will say it now. The next time you get concerned about God being at work in your life, don't. God can use a donkey. God can use him. So, God uses me. And that's at least one of the themes that comes through this story. So let's let's dig a little bit deeper. The Spirit of God is contrasted here in this story with a prophet for hire. This series this summer is called, Bible Stories Rated AC, Adult Content. Now, what's adult content? There's no sex in this. Aside from a few beatings, there's no great violence. I'm sure the donkey would accept that. That's right. This should be rated X, pal. Okay. But the truth is, the adult content is the sophistication of the story. A children's story that's really deep. A children's story that really challenges us. It's not just the fact that this donkey talks. I mean, that does catch your attention. I'll come back to that in just a moment. Now, this story takes place in the middle of the ongoing story of the shaping of the people of God. If you have ever completed the Bethel Bible series, or if you ever have an opportunity to participate in the Bethel Bible series, one of the great virtues of the Bethel Bible series is to see the development of the people of God and how they move from quite literally Genesis 1 through Revelation 22 and how that comes to pass. And so this Balaam story takes place right in the middle of that development, and it's there for spiritual donkeys to pay attention to. The structure of the story is multi-layered. Multi-layered, what I mean by that is we have at least 3 encounters. Scholars have a field day with this story. They've got it broken down 6, 8, 12, 18 different parts. I mean, it's just nuts. But there's at least 3 stories going on in here, and that is, Balak says, "Go get me Balaam." He says, "No." Story 1. Story 2. "Go get me Balaam." He says, "I don't know." And so Balaam finally comes. Story 3. And then we have the conclusion of the story as it comes to its crescendo. But through these 3 sort of movements, one theme comes up. I don't know if you picked it up, but it's only what God permits is to be spoken. Balaam is just another guy. Balaam isn't Moses. Balaam isn't a follower of Yahweh. Balaam is a pagan. You see the theme coming up again? God uses donkeys. God uses God people for hire. One of these days, Christian churches in the 21st century are going to realize that God uses all sorts of trash to get God's word. I've sat in meetings where well-intentioned Bible teachers say, God can't do anything with dirty vessels and unholy servants. Really? And people say, "Oh yes, amen, amen." I go, "Man, have you read Balaam's donkey story? Have you read David?" Matter of fact, about half the stories here on our summer list are contrary to that very theme. So,